Hello and welcome back to another transfer tips video. Last week for game week 5 we absolutely smashed it with 6 out of 6 transfer tips. Obviously we did pre-record last week, so we brought it out last Saturday evening, and again, like I said, did very nicely. Specifically Nicholas Jackson, if you brought him in, it was a fantastic 16-pointer. I believe I did mention captaining him as well. I thought he was a very good pick for captaincy, and again, like I said, did really work out for him. Everyone else done quite well. Wood obviously got an 8-pointer, scored a penalty. Obviously we said keeping Watkins would have been a nice idea. He also picked up 6 points. We spoke about avoiding Calvert-Lewin, which right now kind of, like, obviously for game week 5 worked out with him only picking up a 2-pointer, but he does look like a bit of a better option going forward as he did before we recorded that video 2 weeks ago. Now Isak and Vardiel were the two sells. Again, worked out really nicely, only picking up 2 and 1 point. So that brings us up to a total season success rate of 77%. It was a poor week in game week 4. I believe we only get 3 out of 7 correct, which was our only bad week so far, to be fair, but it has brought us down below the 80% mark. But 77% is still very respectable. You're still talking roughly 4 out of 5 transfer tips going well. So let's see who we've got for this week. So first up we have Brian Mbeumo from Brentford. Now if you watched our wildcard video that came out earlier in the week, you'll know that Brentford have the best attacking fixtures for the next couple of weeks, and obviously Brian Mbeumo being the talisman for Brentford, he is 100% probably the most essential midfielder that you want to get in for the next few weeks. Now he's 7.2 million, due to rise in price in the next few days. He's already been transferred in just under 500,000 times this week. I believe he's the second highest behind only Luis Diaz, and he's, again, like I said, he's due to do really nicely. Now he's got West Ham at home in the next match, and I really think that's where we're going to see the benefit from him. I think buying him this week, you're going to be able to really see how many points that Mbeumo can pick up in a game, because West Ham have looked very poor defensively, and I definitely would be trying to get him in. In terms of his underlying stats, he's not, blowing anything out of the water, but he's picking up some good stats. He looks like a nice option. For XG, sitting about 20th, which is on par with a lot of popular players, Havertz, Bruno Fernandes. In terms of expected assists, again, matching the likes of Salah, one of the highest scoring players in the game. So definitely a nice one to pick up. Over the next 5 games, he's expected to score 28 points, which puts him in 10th for the next 5 games. So 100%, probably the biggest buy of the week for me, I think, in terms of attacking players. Definitely looking forward to seeing how well he does over the next few weeks. Now next up we have Emile Smith-Rowe. Now he is someone who has been doing very well off the start. He was our cheap player. He was 5.5 million at the start of the season. If you picked him, it's went pretty decently because he's picked up 3 goals already so far. Now for me, I do think he's an avoid just for now. I think in the next couple of weeks you'll have the chance to pick him back up again, but he's already rose in price this week. He's now 5.8 million. He's been transferred in just under 300,000 times, but he does have a couple of difficult fixtures. Now he's not, again, like I said with Mbeumo, blowing anyone out of the water. He's only picking up maybe 1 goal a game. He's getting subbed early on, and I think against a fixture, I think with the fixtures against Nottingham Forest and Manchester City, these two teams are 2 of the best 3 defences in the league already. Now Nottingham Forest have been very solid. Man City, of course, are Manchester City, and both of them are away games as well. So I think we could potentially see 2 blanks from Smith-Rowe in the next 2 weeks. But I think when it comes to that Villa game and after that, they've got decent fixtures again, and there's an opportunity to maybe bring them in for the likes of Semenyo, who's only got 2 fixtures, if maybe you're on a wild card or something. I think it's a good one to bring in the next few weeks, but for right now I wouldn't be bringing him in this week. So I think the next 2 weeks he's going to struggle, and I think it's going to be a difficult one for him. So I would be avoiding for right now, but I would be keeping an eye on him when the fixtures get a little bit better for Fulham. Next up, we're looking at Joao Pedro. Now, he was a player that we said to buy, I think, 2 weeks ago, and it was a very, very huge disappointment. He picked up a mystery injury that no one had heard of up until the Brighton lineups came out in game week 4, and then he never even recovered fully before game week 5, came on off the bench and scored a 1-pointer. So in the 2 fixtures where we wanted Joao Pedro to do really well, he only picked up 1 point. And in that same time, when we were trying to pick between Pedro and Welbeck obviously done really nicely and scored. So Pedro now, again, apparently has been seen on crutches. This is just from news on Twitter. I'm not sure how reliable it is, but he has potentially either picked up an injury again or still carrying the same injury. So for me right now, I would probably be looking to sell. I think he's already dropping price so far this week, and he is due again to drop within the week. So I'll be trying to get rid of him before he does drop in price. He has been transferred out 280,000 times, and Brighton's fixtures are starting to get really difficult. So I'd be trying to get, really in terms of all your Brighton players, I'd be trying to move them on because they've got a lot of difficult fixtures, I believe, over the next 5 or 6 games. In the next 3, they've got Chelsea, Spurs and Newcastle. So I don't think, even though Joao Pedro might not even be playing in the next game, I don't think he's going to be picking up too many points anyway. Another player who has once again appeared in the transfer tips video is Eberechi Eze. Now, I think he is another keep. Again, someone I would probably look to sell next week, but he's already been transferred out 225,000 times this week, and he's due to play Everton at the weekend, one of the weakest teams defensively. Now, for me, again, like I said, he's not been great. He's not been the kind of player that we would have expected him to be over the first 5 game weeks. He's already dropped to 6.9 million, and definitely would be looking to sell in the next couple of games, and probably next week more specifically with the game against Liverpool. But against Everton, definitely would be looking to hold. We've still got his stats on screen here. His stats are still really good, so the returns are going to come. He's playing against a weak defence. I think he could do well against Everton this week. Sitting 13th in expected goals, down there at 50th in terms of expected assists, but he's taken a lot of shots. He's got a high XG. I think Eze picks up a goal at the weekend. In terms of expected points over the next 5 as well, he's still sitting in 6th, again ahead of the likes of Isak and Watkins, 2 very expensive attackers. So for me, definitely a keep this week. I think it could be a different story next week when he plays against Liverpool though. Next up, I think we have the most essential defender in the game for the next couple of weeks, and that's going to be Gabriel. Now, Arsenal have some great fixtures. Everyone knows this. We're all trying to get triple Arsenal for the next few games, and the defender you absolutely want to get in is going to be Gabriel. There's no toss-up anymore, whether it's Gabriel or whether it's Saliba, because Gabriel has clearly made himself the set-piece threat. If anyone's going to be getting a goal from a set-piece, it's going to be Gabriel, and he's picked up 2 in his last 2 games. So on top of the clean sheet potential over the next few home games against Leicester and Southampton, you would really be expecting clean sheets. He's also got that goal threat as well, and he's sent at 500,000 transfers in so far this week. He's already rose in price to 6.1, and he is due to rise in price probably before the next game week starts. So 100% the most essential defender to have for the next couple of weeks by Gabriel this week. Next up, I can't believe we've actually got him in this video, but Mo Salah is on the keep list, very obviously. He's already been transferred out 223,000 times this week, and I've got no idea why, because he's still performing. He's still one of the highest point scorers in the game. He's literally looking like he's going to be dropping price over the next few weeks, and he literally rose in price a couple of days ago. So I don't think I've ever seen it where a player rises and drops in the same week, but for some reason he's sitting. He looks like he's going to drop in price, and everyone's getting him out now. In my opinion, on a wild card, I wouldn't be buying, but I definitely wouldn't be selling either if I owned, because he's got Wolves in the next game, and he's got Crystal Palace as well next week. Now that's 2 fairly weak defences, Palace more than Wolves, but it's games where Salah can obviously do really well. Now, I don't think you're going to be captaining him. If you're a Salah owner and you've got Erling Haaland, you probably want to be looking to get Mo out at some point in the next few weeks, but I definitely wouldn't be doing it this week against Wolves away from home. You're not going to be captaining Salah, you're going to be captaining Haaland when he has that fantastic run of fixtures. So try and build up some transfers where you can maybe make 2 or 3 in the 1 week and move Salah on without having a ton of money in the bank. But like I said, I wouldn't be doing it this week. Or probably next week either. I think maybe when it comes to the game against Chelsea, you could look to move him on if you can build over 2 or 3 transfers over the next few weeks. Then I'd look to sell him on, but with games against Wolves and Palace in the next 2, 100% would be keeping Mo Salah. And finally, to round things off, we've got another player who I didn't expect to be in here, but mainly because I didn't think he was owned so highly still. But we've got Anthony Gordon, who has also been transferred out over 200,000 times this week. He's dropped in price quite significantly already, due to drop again before the weekend, and some very difficult fixtures. He's one of those guys who I've seen a lot of Newcastle fan talk on Twitter speaking about his attitude and how he doesn't really seem like he wants to be there. So I think he's one that, while he is underperforming and he's being questioned on his attitude, he's probably one that you sell for the next few weeks. I think with all the Newcastle players, we get rid of them for the next couple. Obviously, they've got Man City at the weekend, Brighton in a couple of weeks, a couple of difficult fixtures, and I think we wait until their next run of good fixtures and then reassess them there. Isak hasn't really done great, Gordon hasn't really done great. Any of our Newcastle guys have kind of been underperforming at the start of the season. So again, like I said, definitely be looking to move on Gordon. I think there's a lot of good options you can get for his price as well, and cheaper for game week 6 and forwards. Again, we can take a look at Gordon's stats over the last few weeks, and it just kind of shows you how poor he has actually been. He's only had 6 shots in 5 games. He's sitting at 82nd for shots taken, 38th for XG, again very low, and then not bad for expected assists. You know, he's just under 1. He's sitting at 21st, but again, in terms of actual attacking threat, it's not really been there. And I think with all the reasons that we've just mentioned, definitely a sell for this week. So these are our 7 transfer tips for this week. Let me know if you're going to follow any of them. Let me know if you disagree with any down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you are new, and hopefully we can get 7 out of 7 again when we come back to this next week. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.